Hello everyone, and thank you for watching. I am Carolina Rodriguez Buitrago, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the first pillar of flipped learning, the flexible environment pillar. As you could see from the past image, it is the first of the 4 pillars of flipped learning, and so I'm going to be talking to you about it today. So, whenever we think about a flexible environment, we imagine a Google Classroom. Imagine a very nice space with cushions on the floor, with different kinds of sitting arrangements, with high tables, low tables, no tables at all. And normally we kind of dream about this. However, a flexible environment is not about the space, but about the multiplicity of learning experiences and student needs. And we know now about that very, very well. COVID-19 taught us that to have a flexible environment, we do not need to have a classroom. We went from Google Classrooms, cushions, and posters and amazing things to this, the Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever platform that was available to us. And we made flexible environments out of this very static spaces online. So this year taught us that we actually can have a flexible environment without even having a space. So whenever we think about flexibility, it is important for us to think about differentiation, to think about student variability. Our learners are not the same, and we realize that. We have realized and we have encountered all kinds of variety, from age groups to religious beliefs to proficiency levels to technological difficulties even. And so we have to integrate differentiated instruction into our vocabulary. And so Carol Tomlinson proposed differentiation back in, I don't remember when, 2011, I guess, or even before. And she says that we can differentiate our class by content, by process, by product, and even by learning environment. And we can do this differentiation by readiness, interests, learning profile, you name it. So the important thing here is to consider our learners as different people, to consider our learners as the center of the learning process. So when we are flipping our classes, we are differentiating, and when we're differentiating, we might be flipping. So even if we don't have a flexible classroom, we can still have a flexible environment. We had flexibility, and we also have 2020 flexibility, right? Some of us know exactly and felt like this dancer over here during 2020, stretching ourselves as much as we could. So today we're going to be talking about the 3 indicators that the Flipped Learning Network has considered for this flexible environment pillar. The first indicator is establish spaces and time frames that permit students to interact and reflect on their learning as needed. Let me go back 1 minute, and you can get this checklist in the Flip Learning Network website and have it next to your desk so that you think and reflect about your own teaching. Are your environments flexible? Are you providing opportunities for your students regardless of their levels, their proficiency, their ability, etc.? So we go back to the first one. In this part, we talk about spaces and time frames that permit students to interact and reflect on their learning as needed. So we have, especially during 2020, I think we were challenged. If we weren't doing this, we had to do it. We had to find ways for our students to show us that they had learned. We had to create different spaces and time frames because we realized some of our learners couldn't connect to the synchronous class because they didn't have an access to internet, or because 8 people were using internet in their house. So they had to connect to our class during the night. So we had to record our sessions. Or maybe we didn't even have the basic technology for a synchronous class. So we had to adapt and create worksheets and then use WhatsApp or other means of interaction with them. So anyway, the important thing is that we generated different spaces and time frames that permit students to interact and reflect on their learning as needed. That's why we need to use these websites or these tools that help us provide elements for our students to evaluate, to reflect on their own learning experience every single lesson. Do you do it? So we need to think of metacognition as a way to make learning visible in these new environments that we are learning. So for example, we can do it through hyperdocs. Hyperdocs are a great tool. You're going to be learning more about them within the content. You're going to be learning more about them in Group 4. Then we have also exit flips. In flipping, you need to verify that your students gathered the content that you were teaching. So for example, here you have a little sample of it. It's a very simple pen and paper one. However, you can do it using the chat in Zoom, using another tool, just having students write on a paper and show it to you through the camera. We can also use websites that have embedded tools for metacognition, for having students reflect about their learning. So for example, PerDeck, the one with the logo over here, is a great tool that provides us with different moments for this reflection: before the content, during the presentation of the content, after the presentation of the content, you name it. You can also use a course platform if you're using Google Classroom or Edmodo or Schoology or even Canvas, Moodle, etc. There are tools within these platforms that can help you collect students' information. Journals, simple as pen and paper, and then show the picture through the camera. Whenever we go back to face-to-face classes, then students can write with their hands. This is going to help them make an even deeper reflection. We have Nearpod, which is very similar to PerDeck. This is the logo over here. You can ask student questions and get immediate responses. These responses are saved and they can be helped. They can be used by you as learning analytics. And then we have Mentimeter, or all of these immediate response systems. Here's the logo over here. And so you can use them like Typeform, Mentimeter. You can use all kinds of surveying like Poll Everywhere, or even the polling systems in Zoom, to get your students to tell you how they feel about their own learning. So the important thing is to reflect about it. Second indicator of the flexible environment pillar, we have I continuously observe and monitor students to make adjustments as appropriate. Once again, if we didn't do it before COVID, we have to do it now. If our students turn off their cameras, how are we going to know that they're actually learning? So we need to use different ways to monitor, to observe what is happening with our students and how they are getting what we are trying to teach. So for example, now learning analytics is a fantastic tool for us to use. We need to make sure that we use all the capabilities that our websites give us, like for example, time to log in, to log out, also the comments, the questions. If you're using tools like Edpuzzle or PlayPosit or Perusal, you're going to have a lot of information about what your students are doing with the content, and that information needs to inform your teaching. The important thing here is not only to know about it, but to adjust our teaching to our students' needs and to what they are experiencing while in the individual learning space or while using any of the tools that we propose. Third indicator of the flexible environment pillar, I provide students with different ways to learn content and demonstrate mastery. So this is what I was talking about at the beginning, called differentiation. We need to give them different ways to learn the content and to demonstrate mastery. Not everybody is going to learn from a video. Not everybody is going to learn from a text. We need to provide them both if we can. And if we can give them choice, even better. So some of our students are going to learn by doing things with their hands. We know they are more kinesthetic and they are going to really enjoy touching things, messing with things around. So the importance about manipulatives, about puppets, about things from the house, even if you're just teaching through Zoom, just ask them to bring things, ask them to show you things, to manipulate things. Also, different worksheets, different kinds of papers. Here's one of my son's tasks. He is 5, and so he was learning, some words in a contest of words that his teacher made here. Also, this is my daughter showing mastery of her painting. This is a painting called in Spanish Nenúfares. I don't remember the painter right now, and I'm sorry. She was trying to mimic that painting. And here is another way her teacher provided for her to show, if she had learned This is refraction. So this is in Spanish. I'll just play a couple seconds. So through video, as a mom, I got engaged. I was able to help to prepare a video for her to show that she had understood refraction. So this is something we need to do and include. Let me try to move this. So as I mentioned, to think about the ways in which our students can show us what they have learned, we can prepare choice boards. Here's an example of a choice board I just grabbed from the internet, where the teacher who planned it offered many different options for students to show mastery. They can use Apple Clips, use Screencastify, use Adobe Spark, use iMovie, tips for creating a presentation. So in this way, you're not putting students in a straitjacket, and they are not going to just show you mastery this way through a quiz. So many teachers were so scared about exams and quizzing because that was the only way from which they could collect evidence from students' work. And with the online environment, it's hard to know if students are not cheating. So this calls our attention. This makes us reflect that probably that's just not the best way to verify if our students know something, a test where they can, just cheat. So by providing them with a bunch of options, what we are doing is catering to their needs, helping them show us that they have learned, and also we are respecting their styles, their preferences, all these many things. Okay, so I just want to invite you to think about a flexible mindset, a flexible planning, and to come to the live meeting on January 24th. Thank you so much for watching, for bearing with me for 11 minutes. You are the best, and see you around in campus.